From the Dignity Health Studios in the Bakersfield, California, and this is BVarsity Live Preview Show with your hosts, Zach Ewing and Trevor Horn.
Well, hello, everybody. Zach Ewing here in the Dignity Health Studio alongside Trevor Horn. You must be... I'm not even going to go there, Trevor. I'm not even going to go there.
That's fine.
You were verbally introduced as a host of this show. Is that good enough for you?
I'm always verbally introduced as a host on this show. Whoa, we got a red light now.
We call those tally lights. Maybe if you learn the lingo, we can put your name on the marquee. Now Chris says he's not even going to mention you. That's
fine.
pretty good.
You know what? People don't care about us.
Yeah,
Let's
people
get
don't care
going.
about us. It is BVarsity Live for Thursday, December 11th. And we've got a busy one. We've got Ridgeview football as the main attraction this week in Kern County High School sports, playing their Southern California Regional Bowl game down in Redlands on Saturday night. And Trevor and I will be there along with our fearless leader, Louis Amistoy, keeping an eye on us.
We will. It will be an interesting yet fun. We are planning to do, about a 2-hour pregame show from the stadium down there at Citrus Valley.
Now the game itself, this is Ridgeview versus Redlands East Valley for the chance to go to the state championship game.
In Division II.
And that game will begin at 7:30, and it will be on Time Warner Cable. We don't have broadcast rights, but we will be putting the pregame show on Bakersfield.com, where we're hoping to talk to both schools' coaches and plenty of analysis and highlights and interviews and that sort of thing. So tune in on Bakersfield.com at around 5:30 on Saturday afternoon. In the meantime, we have a special guest here with us for the first segment of the show. That's Vince Finucchi, the boys athletic director at Garces High School. Vince, how are you?
Good. Technically not the boys. I'm the assistant athletic
You are the
director.
okay.
Yes.
Well, they've done
my
you an
boss,
injustice.
I don't want
sir.
my boss to get.
Okay.
Actually, my boss is an ex-student athlete that I coached and taught and hired.
And an
now I
absolutely
work
fine
for her.
woman, too. Don't sell her short.
She does a great job.
Yep.
So it's a full circle.
And that would be Joan Finch. And so between the two of you, Garces Athletics are in good hands. And a lot to talk about, and we'll start with next week, and this is probably your busiest week, or at least busiest month of the year, with the Garces Holiday Soccer Festival beginning next Friday, a week from tomorrow, with, what did you say, 132 teams coming in?
132 next weekend, yes.
From all over the state, correct?
Yes.
Basically from Wairika down to San Diego, they'll be here in Bakersfield, playing all over town. It's really quite a spectacle. How is this year's field coming together? Everything... At this point, are you pretty much set with everything?
Pretty much. There's always little details that come up right at the last minute, and you deal with them. But everybody's on board, and now we just have to make sure everybody ends up in the right place at the right time with the right officials.
This is like the stretch run of a marathon for you, because you'll start on next year's Holiday Soccer Festival right after Christmas, or right after New Year's, right?
I already have about 3 pages of notes for next year already.
So this tournament has been more than a year in the making, and it's sort of taken on legs of its own, because you've been at it for a while. Teams come to you now, right, and say, hey, can we get in for next year?
Yeah, we started at 25. Well, this will be the 25th anniversary. The first year that I did it, we had about 55 teams, mostly local. We've never really solicited anybody else. It's all been word of mouth. And people go back and they seem to enjoy it because they talk it up and people call us.
I mean, I have to imagine this is a labor of love for you, because you're the guy for the whole thing, and if you didn't like it, it would probably drive you crazy.
I do. I enjoy it. It is something I work on literally probably every week of the year. But it's fun when it all falls together and works, because you're never quite sure, even after 25 years, until it actually starts, that it's going to work.
Over the 25 years, do you have memories that stick out to you, whether it's on the field, off the field, of certain things that have happened?
Sure. One of the most recent ones was about, I can't remember, 3-4 years ago, when it rained steadily from an hour before the tournament started until about an hour after it ended. And every field in town was ankle deep in water. And one of the coaches made a comment, it stopped being soccer at a certain point. It was just fun. The kids were having a ball. They were sliding in the mud. And so, I tend to remember the extremes like that. The very first year we did it, we had to chip ice off of the puddles out at the soccer park.
Gosh, it was actually the first event I covered as the prep writer here at the Californian in 2007, and I remember thinking, having only been in Bakersfield for a week, that it's 65 degrees out here. I'm going to wear my T-shirt, and then you get out to the soccer park beyond the Panorama Bluffs out there, beyond Hard Park, and then the sun goes down, and those two things combined, all of a sudden the temperature drops about 25 degrees in the span of half an hour, and it was not real pleasant. But by the time I was back the next day, I had learned better. Anyway, if you're a soccer fan, it's a great opportunity to see some of the top teams in the Central section and around the state. And there's always seems like there's a big result from this tournament that affects seeding in the Central section playoffs, maybe 2 or 3. And then even if you're not a soccer fan particularly, it's just a spectacle. I mean, it's just a fun thing to watch. There's at the soccer park at least 15, 20 games going on at once.
Yeah, there's 21 fields at the soccer park.
And then also games going on around high schools around Bakersfield and now down at the
State Farm Sports Village.
I was going to forget the sponsor name there, the State Farm Sports Village down there on.
Yeah, there's 12 fields out there. We use all 12 there, the 21 at the soccer park, and then we have a portion of it up at Garces and another portion over at Stockdale now.
So you're talking about from the State Farm Sports Village, which is Stein Road and just north of Taft Highway, all the way up to the soccer park off of Alfred Harrell Highway, and then everything in between. So it literally takes over the city. Lucky for you, the rains are coming this weekend, it looks like, which means we should be spared.
I'm hoping, yes.
But give us a sense, do you know some of the top teams coming in, boys and girls side this year? I know it's early in the season, may be difficult to tell, but what's your sense?
When I set the thing up, there are 8-team divisions. So this year there'll be 17 divisions next week. I try to seed them by competitiveness based on what they did in the tournament last year.
And there are some JV teams, and then
there's a handful of JV teams. We'll look at I get access through Max Preps mostly, access to all the league standings from last year, all the playoffs in the different sections from last year, and then we try to put them together. We're real happy this year. For the first time, Santa Margarita's girls, who were the Division I champions down in the southern section last year, are coming in. They'll be in the top division. I think they open up with Liberty on Friday.
Okay.
And then we've, I counted the other day, I think we've got over a dozen section finalists in it and about a half a dozen section champions from either locally or around the state.
Right. And you I mean, obviously the soccer is great, and it's great for Bakersfield and the Kern County economy as well. You talked about that you have a deal with the local Marriotts where they give discounted rates, and they're all going to be chock full next weekend. The restaurants, I'm sure, benefit, gas stations, all sorts of those sort of things. And it's become an event in and of itself. What comments do you hear from coaches that keep them coming back?
They like the fact that it's well organized, that if the schedule says the game's going to start at 1 o'clock, it starts at 1 o'clock. The officials are there and the other team's there, and that's part of the organizational end of it that I work all year round on. Because really, once the thing starts on Friday at 3 o'clock, it's really out of my control at that point. I can't be everywhere. I've got to depend on the fact that everything was well organized.
Sort of like a coach throwing his players out there and saying, okay, now it's game time, it's on you now.
Exactly. I always kid the Kern County Officials Association that it's my tournament for 363 days and it's theirs for 2, because if they can't get the bodies in the right places, nothing happens. So it's a very big collaborative effort with them.
Anything?
In that respect.
Sorry, Vince. Anything special for the 25th anniversary this year?
Not really. We're reaching out to more of some of the officials associations in the valley and out on the desert, trying to bring in some officials to because it's always a challenge to get the number of officials, because at any one time we'll have 35, 40 games going on every hour and 45 minutes. We'll start another round of games. So getting all the officials and quality officials is tough from year to year. Particularly this year, the numbers are down a little bit in the Kern County Association, I understand. So we've been talking to the Visalia area and out on the desert to some southern section.
Yeah. You talk about the organizational aspect of this, and you've been doing it for a long time, and so you've become very good at it, and we know you're good at organizing things anyway. But do you have a sense of how long you'll do this for? I mean, is the 35th year anniversary in your sights, or are we just thinking about next year at this point?
If you told me 25 years ago we'd still be doing it now, I would have laughed at you. But it's as long as it's fun to do and people want to come, and we can get the cooperation locally, because, like I said, including the Kern County Officials Association, the Kern County Soccer Park, they've been with us right from the, or rather, we've been with them right from the get-go.
Right.
And then State Farm now out there, and it really is kind of a collaborative effort by the local soccer community to make it all work.
Well, very good. That's December 19th and 20th, next Friday and Saturday. And Trevor, go ahead. I was going to ask him about a couple of other Garces things going on.
Well, that's exactly what I was
Okay.
going to start with. Tuesday night, Vince, we had a very interesting situation in your home gymnasium with Redwood Visalia deciding to stop that girls' basketball game midway at halfway point because of fog. I understand safety issues for the students, especially since they had their soccer team and they were on the same bus. Any news on that, if that game is going to be continued from halftime, or is that just going to be a wash?
Well, they're in the process now. Joan, our athletic director, is in communication with Matt Sorzino, the athletic director up at Redwood, and trying to find some date that will work mutually for both of us to most likely pick the game up at halftime. But right now everybody's running into the tournament season.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of dates available. So
Yeah, and that's kind of what I figured.
Year.
And that was a fantastic effort by the girls. They had a 17-3 run between the first and second quarter. They are 17-3 run. CJ West, I mean, obviously, she's just an absolute phenomenal basketball player. But you look at the other players, too. I mean, you really do. I mean, Vince, you guys got to be pretty high on it. With Rihanna Duncan and Riley Tucker and your two guards, I mean, you've got to feel that, after winning the section title last year, that this team might actually be able to make a little run in SoCal, you would think, right?
That's the goal. I mean, you don't want to overlook league or the section finals, but the goal is to try to get in there and make a run. The team went down to one of those showcase tournaments a couple of weeks ago, right around Thanksgiving, down in L.A., and did very
fantastic.
well.
21-point win over Windward, who battled for the state title in D1 last year. Obviously,
Right.
Jordan, Canada, now at UCLA, obviously not a part of that team anymore. The girls won last night against Mission Prep of San Luis Obispo in the San Luis Obispo tournament, 55-50. We just had Riley Tucker in here. She said that the team's playing well, and they're playing again tonight. They're going to be playing Pioneer Valley of Santa Maria tonight.
A lot of coastal teams this week, and it should be said you guys moved up to Division I this year, which makes the state
Yes.
run more complicated, and that's a discussion for another day, perhaps, the competitive equity. But real quick, the wrestling program off the ground at Garces,
Yes.
you guys have to be pretty pleased with the way that's gone so far.
It's something that we've talked about for a decade. People have asked us when we were going to get the program in. Part of it was just an issue of facilities and getting a coach, and
Right.
It all fell together. We did a little bit of modification to one of the buildings on campus to get a place we could practice, and the very enthusiastic turnout, about 25, 30 kids, and they're having some success right off the get-go.
Robert Fowler, the former Stockdale coach,
Yes.
is the head coach there. And then additionally, maybe the news that people care about the most as we talk about football is you have to hire a new football coach this winter. And you said that the ball is starting to roll that direction.
Yes, we put some flyers out at the state CIF site, and actually have received over 40 applications and are going to begin interviewing this Saturday.
So you said 45 applications from all around the country. some of them,
Actually, yeah, a number of them from different places in the country. A good portion of them, obviously, here locally, either in the Valley or in L.A. But we think we've got some good candidates, and our goal is to get somebody on staff pretty quickly, so that we don't have that kind of hiatus like we had last, where the kids are wondering who the coach is going to be.
Right, and Coach Anton Giovanni was off campus, and so that
Yeah.
complicates some things.
And the goal is to whoever we hire will be somebody on campus.
On campus. And when you talk to these coaches, especially the ones who are from out of the area and not maybe familiar with Garces, what do you tell them the mission of the program is? I mean, it's a Christian, a Catholic school, obviously, but as well, you want to be competitive on the field. I mean, what is said to these guys?
Well, as you're saying, it's not just the football, it's not just the athletics, it's how it fits into the mission of the school overall. We're turning out students before we're turning out athletes, and it's all got to gel together. Obviously, you like the success when you can get it on the field, but there's more to having a successful program than just winning games.
Right. And it is a school that's been a couple years ago reasonably close to a state bowl playoff type discussion itself. So that's obviously out there as well. Well, Vince Finucchi of Garces, the assistant athletic director, we thank you for joining us, and we're going to let you go. I know it's like shopping days till Christmas. You got 7 days to the tournament here, so I know the countdown begins. And we'll zero in, Trevor and I will, on the Ridgeview Regional Bowl game coming up next here on BVarsity Live.